to talk to God myself. He says, I need to talk to the Lord. This is when the Bible said, I'm in verse 2 now. Now I'm on the prayer. Everybody shout prayer. He says he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord. I don't care who give you bad news. I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what the test said. I don't care what the prophet said. I don't care what the preacher said. Here's my challenge. You better know how to talk to God for yourself. Oh my God, I wish I had somebody over here. You better learn how to pray for yourself. You better learn how to have a relationship with him for yourself. You better learn how to have a talk with Jesus. Because can't nobody, that ain't where I'm going, tell my story like I can. Can't nobody tell him what I need like I can. Can't nobody get in, can't nobody express my love and need like I can. You better learn how to pray for yourself. He turned his face to the wall. Why would he turn to the wall? Well, here's why. He turned to the wall because he wanted his prayer to be private and personal. See, every now and then you got to steal away. Oh my God, I wish I had about 25 and a half of y'all. You got to steal away all by yourself, where there's nobody but you and God, and tell the Lord all about it. See, Brian and Carl, we ain't gonna be honest in front of folk, no way. But when we turn our face to the wall, we can just get down to the nitty-gritty and tell God all about it. Because if you tell it in church, these Negroes will tell somebody else. But if you talk to God, God ain't gonna. Boy, I wish I had. I ain't going there today. So if y'all going with me, y'all got to come right now. He turned to make his prayer private. Matthew 6, 5 through 8. Turn there. Glory to God. Can I help somebody? You better learn how to pray. Turn your neighbor and say, you better learn how to pray. Right here talking about child pray for me, and them Negro praying against you. I have learned how to pray for myself. Matthew 6, look at 5. And when thou prayest, he didn't say if you pray. See, you got to learn how to pray. Because much prayer, much power. Little prayer, little power. No prayer, no power. You want to know why you ain't got no power? Because you don't know how to pray. When thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the actors. It says hypocrite here, but the Greek word is an actor. It's somebody playing a role. For they love to pray for show, standing in the synagogue and in the corners of the street, that they may be seen of men. He said, verily they have their reward. Verse 6, but when thou prayest, enter into your closet. When you pray, turn your face. And when thou hast shut the door, pray to the Father in secret, and he will reward you openly. Anybody in here learn how to pray? Anybody here that have learned how to steal away and have a talk with Jesus? He got the bad report. He got a problem, but he said, in the midst of my problem, I'm going to pray. He prayed. Why did he pray? Boy, y'all ask some good questions. He prayed because he had proven prayer. he had practiced prayer, and he found that prayer has power. Woo, I'm teaching it better than y'all talking. If I can get about 85 and a half of y'all. He had proven prayer, he had practiced prayer, and he had proven that prayer has power. Read chapter number 19, and you will discover that Sennacherib and the Assyrians had taken Israel, the 10 tribes, captive. And they had come to take the 2 tribes in Judah. But Judah had a praying king. Oh boy, y'all missing this. But Judah had a praying king, and the Sennacherib and the Assyrians were coming to overtake Hezekiah's people. And Hezekiah went down and had a talk with God, and God said, Hezekiah, I'm glad you prayed. Hezekiah, you've proven prayer. Hezekiah, let me show you the power in prayer. Hezekiah, I've heard and I've answered your prayer. And let me show you what God did. The men that Sennacherib sent out to him, I believe it was 185 of them, God killed them all. And when Sennacherib came to go to battle, he found them dead. And then he went home and prayed to his God that God would give him not the southern kingdom like God had allowed him to take the northern kingdom. And his son, and then he said, if you do that, I'll offer up my boys to you as a sacrifice. His boys heard the plot, and his boys killed him. Don't tell me prayer won't change things. His boys got wind of it, and they assassinated or killed their daddy. Thank God for a praying king. Somebody shout, there's power in prayer. Oh my God, y'all want to play bump me and see. Somebody shout, there's power in prayer. Somebody shout, I'm going to learn how to pray for myself. Come on, shout it. I got to learn how to pray for myself. I got to learn how to pray for myself. Philippians 4 and 6. Pray. Jeremiah 33 and 3. Pray. Don't y'all get quiet on me. What did he pray? I'm glad you asked. Here it is, verse 3. He says, I beg you. There's a problem, and now we're in the prayer. He says, I beg you, Lord. He prayed. Okay, watch this. Watch the brother feel part. He prayed, Evangelist Ford, that God would remember him. Preach, Betty Brown. Or remember me. Isaiah 44, 25 and 26. What it said do? Isaiah 44, 25, 26 says, God says, put me. I wish I had some Bible readers here. In remembrance of my word. In other words, God says, if I promised it to you, and you have gotten the promise on the inside, then when you pray, remind me of the promise. And I guarantee you, I'll give you what I promised. God, you remember when you said I'd be the head and not the tail. This is how you learn to pray. God, I take you at your word. Lord, you said I would be the lender and not the borrower. Lord, I take you. Lord, you said by your stripes. I'm going to wait 25 and a half more, y'all. I am healed, and now you learning how to pray. Lord, you said that if I delight in you, you'll give me the desires of my heart. My desire is this and that. Lord, you said that if I hold my peace, you'd make my enemies my footstool. Lord, you said that weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Lord, it's morning, and I declare my joy right now. Boy, I feel a Baptist hollering. I'm trying not to. Lord, you said that if I trust you, that you would bring it to pass. Lord, you said in your word that if I paid my tithe, that you'd open up the windows of heaven and pour me out a blessing that I can't even contain. Put him in remembrance. Can I help you? Isaiah, come here, come. Isaiah said, no, but notice what God said. Isaiah said, Lord, don't you remember? Verse 3, how I walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart. God, don't you remember how I've done that which is good in thy sight? Lord, don't you remember how my daddy was evil and trifling, and how when I became king, I tore down the altar, I brought Israel back, Judah back to you, I reopened it. God, don't you remember? Can I help somebody? Start doing good. Because doing good gives you some do you remember cards. See, some of y'all don't even have any Lord, do you remember? But Dr. Holloway and Snoop, some of us got some do you remember cards. Lord, do you remember when I went and I didn't feel like going? Lord, do you remember when I paid it and I didn't have it to give? Lord, do you remember when I helped when I couldn't even barely help myself? Lord, come on, wake your neighbor up. Ask your neighbor, do you even have any, Lord, do you remember card? Ask your neighbor, do you have any, do you remember card? He says, watch this now. He said, Lord, remember. How could he pray, Manetta, such a prayer? Lord, remember what I did. Maybe he had heard David in Psalm 34:17 that talked about how, okay, go there. Psalm 34. And I'm almost through. Y'all almost made me go Baptist. But I need to leave this with you. That when you have a problem, you learn to pray. But you've got to pray the promises of God. Well, I told y'all, Psalm 34:17, the righteous cry. So you can't live like hell and expect God to give you overflow. The righteous, everybody shout righteous. And the Lord heareth and delivereth him out of all the trouble. Maybe Hezekiah knew that text and he said, Lord, I've done the best I can, and because I've been living the best I can, now, God, you got to honor your word, and you say if I live righteously, you will hear my cry and deliver me from all of my trouble. He prayed. Number one, the problem. In the midst of the problem, he prayed. And God heard him. Oh, my God. God heard him and answered him immediately. Okay, y'all going to sleep on me, so let me close. Everybody shout immediately. Straightway said. And it came to pass, verse 4. Now Isaiah had given him the bad news. Before Isaiah left the court, he was still at the king's palace. when Isaiah turned his face to the wall and said, I'll talk to God myself. He says, turn again and tell Hezekiah, captain of my people, thus saith, I got another word for him. Wait a minute, God, you just told me to go tell him he's going to die. God says, scratch that. I'm reversing this thing. I'm turning this thing around. I'm changing my mind because he prayed for himself. He says, I just talked to the king and I need for you. Now, know that God didn't talk to the king. He talked to the prophet. Why? Because it was the prophet that brought him the bad news. Now it's the prophet that's going to bring him the good news. I wish I had somebody in here that understands the same one that God used to bring you the bad news are going to be the same one that God going to use to bring you the good news. The same one that told you that God couldn't, God going to move in their heart and they're going to say God can. The same one that told you to give up are going to turn around and say God told me to tell you to hang on in there. Ah, yes, he will. Somebody hunt your neighbor and say, yes, he will. Somebody grab your neighbor and say, neighbor, yes, he will. Yes, he will. Is there anybody here? He says, Isaiah, go back and tell the king. Watch this. First of all, tell him I heard his prayer. Two things. Then after you tell him I heard his prayer, tell him I seen his tears. What's he saying? He said, go tell the king that I heard when he talked to me. But when he wasn't talking to me, I felt his pain. I wish I had somebody in here that understands God feels your pain. That God knows when you're crying. God knows when you're hurting. God knows when you're going through. God knows when you're going through pain. And God sent me by here to tell you that if you just pray and pray right, that he will turn it around. God told me to tell you that if you learn how to go down on your knees and tell God what you want and tell God all about it, that he does hear and he does answer prayer, because God will turn your situation around. Is there anybody here that needs a situation to turn around? Is there anybody here? Oh, shucks, I feel like preaching here now. If you're not too mean and you're not too low down, would you get up on your feet and give God some praise, because God is getting ready to turn your situation all around. If you're not too mean and you're not too tired, would you turn around 2 times? Don't get dizzy, just turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around. Now grab your neighbor's hand and look your neighbor straight in the eye and said, neighbor, the reason I turned around is because God is getting ready to turn my problem all around. Yes, he is. Somebody shout, yes, he is. Somebody shout, yes, he is. Ah, yes, he is. Play, man. Ah, yes, he is.